So, today we're going to dive into a theme that's, well, as old as time itself, pulled right from the early pages of Genesis. We're looking at this incredible contrast between a path of corruption that just takes over everything and another path, one of quiet, steady faithfulness. It's a story that really shows how one single choice can create ripples that define an entire world. And just a quick note, as we go through these texts, you'll hear me use the names Yehovah and Elohim, because that's what we find in the original Hebrew. And this really gets to the heart of what we're talking about today. It forces us to ask, is all this corruption just a result of people not knowing any better? Or is it something more, a conscious, deliberate turning away from what they do know? The source material makes a pretty strong case that it's all about choice. Let's see how that unfolds. All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to break this down into 5 parts. First, how these two paths start from the very same point. Then we'll get into what corruption really is. After that, we'll look at the quiet alternative, see what happens when the world is washed clean, and finally, we'll tackle this huge idea of worship versus true alignment. So first up, where does this massive, world-ending corruption even begin? You know, the text shows us it doesn't start with some big societal collapse. It starts smaller, way smaller. It begins with a personal choice, deep inside the human heart. Think about Cain and Abel. Both of them are bringing offerings. I mean, Cain isn't some atheist, he's participating in worship. But, and this is the key, the text says Yehovah looked at Abel and then his offering. The person came first. Abel's offering was just an overflow of a heart of trust, while Cain's, well, it was just an outward action. His heart wasn't in it. And here's the thing, Cain wasn't just rejected and left to his own devices, not at all. He was given this incredibly clear warning and a choice. Yehovah literally explains the battle happening inside him and says, you must rule over it. The responsibility was put right in his hands. This wasn't some unavoidable fate. There was a way out, right from the start. And after he rejects that chance, well, Cain's family line just explodes in all the ways you'd expect. It's a story of self-exaltation, boasting, more and more violence. It's all about human pride. But then, almost in the background, this other line appears through Seth, and all we're told about them is that they began to call upon the name of Yehovah. You can already see these two futures branching away from each other. Okay, so we've seen the seed, right? That little choice in one person's heart. Now we're going to watch how that one seed grows until its roots have cracked the foundation of the entire world. It goes from being a personal problem to a systemic, inescapable reality. And this is where we get this really heavy assessment from Yehovah right before the flood. Just listen to the language here. Every intent, only evil continually. This isn't describing a world that's just having a bad day. This describes a settled direction, a chosen path. This is not a world that's ignorant. It's a world that is actively and constantly choosing to reject what is right. Now, to really get what's going on, we have to zoom in on one specific Hebrew word, Hamas. Now, you'll often see this translated as violence, and it is that, but oh, it is so much more. Yeah, see, Hamas is when corruption becomes the system. It's injustice, oppression, taking advantage of people. It's deceit, it's people in power abusing that power. It's betrayal. It's when the entire moral and social order has been thrown out the window. The world wasn't just filled with crime. Its very structure was morally rotten. So in the middle of all this noise, all this Hamas, the story zooms in on something else, something much quieter. It presents this steady, almost hidden alternative, a line of faithfulness that somehow managed to survive. If you read through the genealogy in Genesis chapter 5, you'll notice this pattern. It's like a drumbeat in the background. So-and-so lived this many years, and he died. Next person, and he died. It's this grim, constant reminder of where sin leads. It's screaming at us that humanity can't fix this problem of death on its own. And then, right in the middle of all that death, bam, Enoch. The pattern is broken. The text says he walked with Elohim. This wasn't a one-time thing. It was his whole way of being, a life in constant alignment. And his story becomes this incredible signpost of hope, a powerful exception to the rule of death. So let's just put these two side by side for a second. It's night and day, really. On one side, you've got Cain's line. They're loud, they're impressive, building cities, making weapons, boasting about their strength. Then you have Seth's line. They're quiet. They're preserving knowledge, they're teaching their kids, they're walking with Elohim. It goes to show you that what the world thinks is impressive isn't always what preserves life. And all of this, these two paths going in completely opposite directions, it's all leading somewhere. It leads to the flood. But the story doesn't present this as some random act of anger. It's shown as the orderly, almost inevitable consequence of the choices that have been made. And Noah's role in all this is just total obedience. He gets these incredibly detailed instructions for building the ark, and the text just keeps hammering this point home. Thus Noah did, according to all that Elohim commanded him. His survival, his preservation, is tied directly to his faithful action. And then comes this one tiny but incredibly powerful line. After Noah, his family, and all the animals are safely inside the ark, it says, "And Yehovah shut him in." Noah doesn't close the door himself. It's this moment of divine finality. The boundary is set, the time for choosing is over, and now consequence follows. So it's easy to see the flood as just chaos, right? But the text frames it very differently. It's a deliberate, measured cleansing. It's the washing away of the Hamas that had infected everything. It's not a story about a loss of control. It's about the reestablishment of order. Okay, for our last piece here, we're going to jump ahead in the scrolls, way forward to the prophet Isaiah. Because this whole idea, it doesn't just apply to people who are obviously corrupt. This is a warning shot for people who look the most religious. I mean, just listen to these words. They are absolutely shocking. This is Yehovah talking to his own people, Israel, and he's rejecting their worship. The very things he told them to do. Why? Because it was all for show. Their religious lives and their real lives were two completely different things. Just look at this disconnect. It's laid out so clearly. On one side, they're doing all the right religious things, offerings, feasts, prayers. But on the other side, a life of injustice, a life of oppression. Their hands, as the prophet says, are full of blood. This proves that just going through the religious motions means nothing if your heart and your actions aren't aligned with it. So what's the fix? Is it to feel more sorry, to offer more sacrifices? Nope. The instruction is so practical, so grounded. Wash yourselves. Stop doing evil. Learn to do good. Seek justice. Real repentance, real change, isn't about emotion. It's about a tangible realignment of your entire life. And that's really what it all boils down to, isn't it? From Cain to Noah, all the way to Isaiah, the message is incredibly consistent. The true measure of the path you're on, it's not just what you say you believe. It's not the religious stuff you do. It's your conduct. It's how you live. And that forces us to ask, what does it really mean for us today to walk with Elohim?